Miss Destiny Diamond. Saturday night's main event predictions. Kind of crazy. We got a lot to talk
Insanity.
about in 4 short matches. A lot of star power for only 4 matches.
Yeah, but where are the women?
Where are the women indeed? That's what I ask myself every time I go to the gay strip club on the corner. Where are the women? I might be looking in the wrong place. Okay. Thanks, YouTube. Sorry, you're blocking the video already. YouTube hates the gays. Confirmed. YouTube. If you're not watching this, YouTube hates gay people. That's what we know. That's what we learned today. Steel cage match, by the way. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. How you feeling?
Oh God, I don't even know. Here's my deal, right? We had an incredible street fight at WrestleMania, and Drew was victorious. This is obviously a continuation, this feud, and I'm not mad at that. Like, I have wanted it to continue. Now we had they did fight at the last pay-per-view. However, it was a fatal 4-way, and it was for the United States Championship, and neither of them were victorious. Fine, dandy, whatever. My thing is, like, if Drew wins, there's no reason for this to continue in any way, shape, or form. But I also don't necessarily see Priest walking out successful. No disrespect, I adore Priest. I think he's a phenomenal superstar. But it's a steel cage. And this is the man that just had the match of the year against CM Punk inside Hell in a Cell. Compared to Hell in a Cell, a steel cage is a cakewalk. So I personally am going to give this to McIntyre just based on that alone.
However, McIntyre lost that Hell in a Cell.
Valid?
I see a lot of people saying it makes sense that Damian Priest wins this one, so they go to a third match, because Priest shouldn't lose back-to-back. And it makes sense for the steel cage because Priest can win without pinning McIntyre. So McIntyre doesn't have to lose clean. It could be a schmoz kind of finish where Priest is able to escape the cage and win the match. To those people, I say, no. This is Damian Priest. He kind of wants to kill McIntyre, and McIntyre kind of wants to kill him. I don't think this match ends in escaping the cage. McIntyre, maybe he gets a little more than he bargained for from Damian Priest, and McIntyre kind of shimmies his way to escape. But I think Priest wins this decisively, 1-2-3 in the middle of the ring. I think it makes a statement because I feel like a lot of people are overlooking Priest right now, and I think a clean win over McIntyre, leading to a follow-up, a rubber match, where McIntyre gets the win and puts this feud behind him would be great. But I do think Priest needs a clean victory here to kind of re-cement, like, hey, just because McIntyre's badass doesn't mean this guy isn't a badass. Priest still's got it too. So I do want them to drive that point home. I think it is very important. So fingers crossed that Priest isn't just forgotten about here.
And I am a huge Damian Priest fan. I'm not saying I don't want him to win, because I would love for this to continue on and have another match happening, as a tiebreaker. My thing is, we have a street fight, we have a steel cage. Other than Hell in a Cell, what do you do to make the tiebreaker? So that's what interests me. Now, something that I think is very interesting that I just thought of. So, it's the fact that not everything needs a series of 3. Not everything needs to go to that third fall. Not everything needs to go to that third and final tiebreaker match. An example of this is when Cesaro was champion. I believe he was US champion. And he had a 2 out of 3 falls match against somebody. Couldn't tell you who. For some reason, my brain wants to say The Miz, or Sheamus. I could be wrong, because that wouldn't make sense. But, like I said, 2 out of 3 falls. Cesaro's the defending champion. He wins fall number 1 and fall number 2. There was no need for a third fall, because that's how good he was. He was a defending champion, and he was a good champion. He was a fighting champion. It didn't disrespect or put a damper on the career of his opponent, except for the fact that I can't remember who it was. However,
Dolph Ziggler or Sami
who
Zayn?
didn't hurt from it. It was definitely not Sami Zayn. This was main roster before Sami Zayn was around.
Ziggler?
Could have been. I really don't think it was, though. For some reason. I don't. I mean, maybe. Because the Sami Zayn one was in NXT, and that is one of the greatest NXT matches of all time. But I just remember my dad and I watching together, and he's like, yeah, good. Not everything needs to go to a third fall. And maybe this is one of those situations where it doesn't need to go to a third match. Maybe Drew was just that definitively better.
If it wasn't Priest, I agree with that whole sentiment that not every match has to go to the third match. And I love the idea that you can even do one-off matches. Like, I think Jey Uso, Logan Paul should be a one-off. Done. Leave it at that.
Done.
However,
Yes.
Where does Priest go if he doesn't get a win over McIntyre here? Is my only reason I'm staying with Priest as my pick here. And I want a clean victory. And there is one here.
I have that same sentiment.
Cesaro versus Miz. 2 out of 3 falls match for the United States Championship. It took forever to get it to pop up.
I believe that's the one. Yeah.
Cesaro was wrestled in a lot of 2 out of 3 falls matches.
Because he's that damn good. Oh my god, his best of 7 series with Sheamus? Legendary. But, I mean, obviously this didn't do anything to diminish the career of The Miz. I mean, he's still The Miz. What else is there to say?
Well, I'll tell you what's next to say is John Cena not defending his title against R-Truth. Who is going home with this victory here?
Now, listen, we touched on this in our previous episode because this is big news. You have R-Truth facing off with his childhood hero, John Cena. It's finally happening, and I'm so excited for this because I don't even know how it's gonna play out because it's just so wonderful. You know, R-Truth idolizes this man. This is his, his hero. So I'm excited to see it. I think I'm going to go with my prediction. I'm going to base this off of a few different things. With this being an old school themed pay-per-view, this is one that I feel needs the touch of a returning Cody Rhodes. Just the history with his family and with the history with him just kind of carrying forward the legacy of an old school type of character in a way. He just feels so 80s to me, and I love that. And I feel like a Saturday night's main event is perfect for that and perfect for Cody Rhodes' return. I think that Cody Rhodes returns and R-Truth is victorious, and this is I'm basing this off of hopeful and wishful thinking. I want R-Truth to walk out victorious, and I want him to walk out with the WWE Championship. Everyone knows it's a non-title match, except R-Truth. That is my hope for this match. That is my dream scenario for this match.
I kind of touched base earlier during our last episode for the full podcast. If you want to check that out, it actually went up just a couple days ago. It'll be linked in the description below if you want to check that out. But we did touch base on the Backlash results. And one of the things we brought up during that was saying at WrestleMania 22, the big issue going into that, or at 32, sorry, WrestleMania 32, the big issue going into it was the tag team matchup between the New Day and the League of Nations, and how they chose to not make it for the title because they wanted the New Day to keep their championships, but they wanted the League of Nations to win the match. So I feel like all the signs are pointing to R-Truth getting a win over John Cena here. It makes the most sense. However, John Cena is here to ruin wrestling, and I feel like this is what is going to happen. I feel like John Cena gets his victory here over R-Truth. I don't want to see it be a squash match. I don't think it's going to be a squash match. However, I don't think Cena is going to cheat to win this match. I think this is going to be the first hint we see at the return of Super Cena. This is the first challenger Cena has faced who is not on that main event level anymore. R-Truth has not competed for a championship at a championship level in a long time. So I think if there's a superstar for Cena to beat soundly, as his old self with the attitude adjustment, 1, 2, 3. It is against R-Truth. And R-Truth gets to deliver his goal of reminding John Cena that, hey, maybe you can still do this and maybe you don't have to cheat to win. And so Cena doesn't cheat. Cena wins, and we kind of get a moment of hesitation from Cena where he goes, damn, maybe I could still do this without selling my soul.
August, something that I want to touch on real quick. I wanted to touch on this in the last episode, but I completely forgot to. You said that the problem going into WrestleMania 32 was them silently removing the tag team championship being defended and just having it as a regular tag team match. I would like to respectfully disagree because this is my mania. I was there and I was very about it. The problem going into it was the fact that every major superstar was injured. John Cena, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, and so many more. And it was kind of chaotic and a mess. Bray Wyatt as well. There were so many people that were off this card. And
absolutely.
So
there was bigger issues, but the issue they could control, that they had control of, that was entirely self-inflicted, was them taking the tag team titles off the card.
Correct, yes. We're both right.
Next up, the World Championship. Now, this is not going to be in pay-per-view order. The reason it is slated like this is because I do the skinniest match to the biggest match, because of our face cams would be blocking half of the text on screen had this tag team blob been up first. But these matches are basically in the order they fit on the screen. But the World Championship, Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Now, they have teased every possible combination of matches coming out of this regarding these two and Gunther and Seth Rollins. Who is your heart going with here, Destiny?
My heart and my brain are both going with Jey, and I really think that there are very few people that would disagree with me on this planet. I don't think anyone really sees Logan walking out of this with the World Heavyweight Championship. That's just not gonna happen. But, stranger things have happened. Brock Lesnar broke The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, so who the hell am I to talk, right? But, obviously this is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be a phenomenal match. Logan's going to show everyone why, once again, he is one of the most talented individuals in the world, not just in wrestling. It blows me away every time he steps foot in the ring. I think it's going to be a great match. I wouldn't be surprised to see some interference, especially after what took place on Monday Night Raw with Gunther and Logan and everything that's happened with Jey and Gunther and all that jazz, right? I think it's going to be a good one. I don't think it's going to be match of the night, but I see Jey retaining in a pretty clean fashion. I don't see Logan tapping out also.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gunther.
I think Jey has this pretty much won. The problem WWE's kind of painted for themselves here is Logan this is his third time declaring a title match for himself for the world title. He did it against Roman Reigns. He did it against Cody Rhodes, and now he's doing it against Jey Uso, to where this is kind of really his last. You can't just keep doing this where you go, oh, Logan Paul's a big star, let's put him in the world title match for no reason. Logan hasn't done anything to really earn this opportunity for himself. So
he beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania, and AJ Styles is a multi-time former world champion.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Finn Balor just got beat by AJ Styles. Finn Balor's a former Universal champion, so should AJ Styles be number one contender now?
No, AJ Styles should be going after John Cena.
I'm just saying, just because you beat a former world champion, then you have other guys who have to go through absolute hell to get a title opportunity. But Logan Paul can come out and just kind of declare it, which works for his heel character. It works for this gimme, I'm the social media star character that he has going on. The issue is the audience starts to turn against it in a negative way. And it starts to become unbelievable that Logan, like as we're talking right now, Logan's not walking out with a championship. It doesn't make sense. And we were saying the same thing with Cody, and we were saying the same thing with Roman for the most part. Roman was probably the most believable for Logan to beat because it was the first time, and everybody was saying, Roman wasn't that far in his championship run. He was over a year, but it wasn't this crazy historic reign. I don't think it had surpassed CM Punk's yet. Um, it wasn't this crazy historic reign, and it was like, well, WWE loves doing stuff with social media stars, and if there's a great way to generate a lot of buzz around WWE, Logan Paul being the champion would be crazy. So Logan Paul has had that effect for himself, but after failing multiple Royal Rumbles, after failing multiple Money in the Banks, and after failing multiple world title matches, he's kind of diminished that anything can happen factor for himself. So I do think, and also at the same time, there's the fact that WWE has received so much negative publicity in terms of, not Bad Bunny, who the hell just came, Travis Scott. At WrestleMania. And so if there's a time to put the title on a part-timer celebrity, now is not the time to do that because of how much bad publicity they've gotten because of Travis Scott recently. So I feel like that is the nail in the coffin for Logan Paul this go round, and Jey Uso will be retaining.
Absolutely. And oh my god, I just had something so important to touch on, and I'm upset that I totally lost my train of thought. Oh no. I don't think I'll ever get it back.
Dang. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Tag team grudge match. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker with, of course, Paul Heyman versus CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Now, there's a million things that can happen in this match, Destiny. What one are you predicting?
Now, I have a lot of thoughts and opinions. I think that the enemy of my enemy is my friend is not necessarily the best when forming a tag team. Right now, the bond between Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins is strong. You can see that trust in each other. You can see they're on the same page. They have Paul Heyman aligning them. And they just need it to solidify that they're going to be a dominant force moving forward in this industry. I don't see Punk and Sami walking away with the victory. I definitely see Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker walking out with the victory, and maybe even with a new member.
Do you have a prediction for said new member?
I have a couple. Now, one of them is a total, not necessarily a shot in the dark. I feel like other people might be thinking this as well. But this new member, I feel like Saturday night's main event may be too soon to bring this person in. Or maybe too soon for this swerve.
JC Mateo.
But I would not be shocked to see one Sami Zayn join this group, because obviously we saw him behind Jey when Jey was celebrating in the corner on the turnbuckle with his newly won championship. Then Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, everybody thought he was going to turn then. Obviously he has a major history with Seth Rollins, but the history that needs to be touched on is the history with the wise man Paul Heyman. That's his guy. Like, they have the storied history. They have the bloodline. Sami bled for that man and the bloodline. That they did so much together. How cool would it be for Paul Heyman to pull his puppet strings and recruit none other than Sami Zayn? I think that would be phenomenal. I do still want to see Fraxium or just Nathan Frazier join. I think that would be great to bring in an up-and-coming star that hasn't had much main roster exposure. But how cool would it be to see Sami Zayn in there with those guys?
So I will say, I definitely agree Rollins and Breaker need this victory. There's no way they're walking away with a loss here tonight. The question is how do they win? Because how do you protect Punk and Zayn? And I have seen that prediction is pretty popular. The third man being Sami Zayn, who turns on Punk here. There's a very dangerous line WWE needs to walk if they go through with this. for one reason in particular that I feel like a lot of people are overlooking. Sami Zayn just cost Seth Rollins the World Championship on Raw 2 weeks ago. So, you need to make this happen. If Sami Zayn does turn on Punk, it needs to be a spur-of-the-moment decision from Sami, and it cannot be, this was the plan all along, ha ha ha. Because then Rollins, Zayn, and Braun, and Paul look like idiots because they gave up the World Championship to pull the wool over CM Punk's eyes. Which would not be worth it. The time to do that would have been against Jey Uso on Raw to pull that card if they knew Sami was going to be on their team. So it's a slippery slope to walk. Now, they just had very good recent success with this, with Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio, where Dom turned on Rhea, and Liv was unaware Dom was going to do that. You could see that moment where Dom helped her win the match and sided with her, and Liv looked ecstatic, like, oh my god, he chose me, yes. But you could tell she didn't know beforehand that Dom was going to go with her. Kayfabe, of course. But so they could do something like that, and I have the faith in them to pull it off, but they have to be careful with it.
They can't shield it, which is, when Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns are absolutely beating the holy hell out of Evolution one night, and then the very next night, Seth's like, fuck these guys, I'm gonna side with the enemy that I just jumped off of the fucking display and the freaking stairs to take out the night before. They can't do that.
See, I love that, though. To me, it made so much sense in the sense of Rollins went through hell to get that match won for the Shield. And Triple H saw, oh my god, we can't beat them, but I can threaten. What I can essentially do is always up the ante and make it so their backs are always against the wall. And I can focus on one of them, and if I can single out one of them to turn their backs on the other, that's the easy way for me to do this. And for Rollins, who did the big jump, Rollins, who went through the most abuse in that match, for him to be the one that Triple H comes to and goes, look, if you do this, you get out, and your brothers are the only ones to go down. And it sucks, but only one man's going to get out of this, and it can be you, or it can be one of them. And for Rollins to take that card, I still love.
I can't be mad. I mean, listen, it gave us one of the most memorable moments in Raw history. You can't be mad at it.
But
so, I remembered what I was going to say about the Jey Uso Logan Paul match. It's bad. So somebody posted...
If you say Joe Hendry, I'm ending it right now.
It's not. Somebody posted the video of CM Punk's return at Survivor Series and the pop, right? And they captioned it, Markiplier showing up in the main event of WrestleMania, Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast, WrestleMania 42.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't doubt that's where wrestling is going at this point. It's a problem.
Exactly, because you were talking about how the work they do with social media and all that jazz, and them putting the belt on Logan and how insane that would be, but how it wouldn't be completely out of the picture because of their involvement in social media and their need to go viral. And when I saw that, oh my god, I cried, because Markiplier is the GOAT. There's no denying. Like, I love that man with all my heart.
By the way, she bought his nudie calendar.
I can't believe you remember that.
Of course, I saw those Marca cheeks, dog. They're burned in my memory. Anyways, those are our Saturday night's main event redictions. Not predictions, because your boy forgot how to spell. Our redictions. Drop them in the comments down below and let us know. Who do you think's walking away with the victory? Be sure to be there in person, baby. Not in person. That'd be if you show up in my bedroom, I'm punching you in the nose. I'll do it. I've done it before. I'll fucking do it again. I'll fucking do it again, you piece of shit. Don't fuck with me.
What about me? Can I come?
If you want to join the live stream, you are more than welcome to, Miss Destiny Diamond. Maybe a wild Destiny
I'm showing
appears.
up at your doorstep. I'm showing up at your
I'll
doorstep.
punch you in the nose. I've already spoke about this.
We have talked about this. My nose is my favorite part.
Yeah, that checks out. All right, thank you guys for watching.